So again, welcome and thank you. Again, as we begin any activity, especially our study, contemplation, and practice, really connecting with these three essential motivations that are really the seed and heart of all of our realization of the nine yanas is so fundamental and important and really sits us right in the right spot. So again, just reflecting with a joy and appreciation on our really super duper, extraordinary, precious human birth with all of its freedoms and advantages and beautiful circumstances. And also connecting with that beautiful motivation that with this precious human birth, we'll truly find the deep nectar of meaning in direct perception of the Buddha's beautiful teachings and come to realization of that so we can truly be only of benefit for beings and really make big change for our own course as well as for infinite beings. And with that, seeding and becoming more and more familiar with the innate purity of all appearances, which are just the beautiful display of our primordial Buddha mind. And with great trust in that and all the perfections, we'll kind of continue our practice. And so today, I was thinking, we've been kind of slowly going through these four thoughts that turn the mind towards the Dharma. And then in particular today, looking at this fourth thought, reflecting on the defects of samsara, as it's called. So as we begin our Ngondro practice, we're chanting these four thoughts that turn our mind towards the Dharma, towards what's reliable, towards what's meaningful. But we're not only chanting that. As we do any of our practice, as much as we can, reflect deeply with our hearts on what the meaning is, which also means a little bit outside of our formal practice, we really take time to contemplate these things. So these four thoughts that turn the mind toward the Dharma aren't just limited to, kind of the liturgy of the words we're saying in our Ngondro text, and even, that meaning. But because our Ngondro practice is the fundamental foundation of all the practice we're ever going to do, we know it's critical to kind of be familiar with these four thoughts. In fact, our lineage teachers ceaselessly remind us that not just with in our formal Ngondro text we have these four thoughts embedded there, but before any practice, reflecting on these four thoughts is really said to really ensure that our practice will really move forward and be of benefit. Again. And so I'm just going to quickly review, what are these four thoughts that turn the mind toward the Dharma, or the four renunciation thoughts, they're also called. So, reflecting on our precious human birth, reflecting on impermanence, reflecting on the natural law of cause and effect, or karma, of actions and their inevitable results, and then reflecting on samsara, the suffering of samsara, the all-pervading nature of samsara is suffering. And so why do we do this? because it's just reminding of us about the truths we live with, like all of the Dharma. These are kind of more ordinary truths, but often we kind of naively forget them or get caught up in our habitual patterns and assumptions of how things are and who we are and what will bring us happiness and etc., etc. So by reflecting on these four thoughts, it really, like Rinpoche says, it helps to soften our hard heads and bring some warmth and moisture to our heart, really see our situation as it is, which naturally is going to turn our mind towards what's reliable, what's more deeper, all-pervading, reliable kind of truth of ourselves and of everything. So this fourth thought is reflecting on the kind of the unsatisfactory nature of samsara. And like we know, the very first teaching that Buddha Shakyamuni gave in this world was the Four Noble Truths. The very first one of those Four Noble Truths is the truth of suffering. And then, of course, so just by doing this, the Buddha is really acknowledging how important it is to acknowledge suffering, or like as Rinpoche often says, the challenges we have, that there's always something off within our mind, right? Buddha just stressed again and again how important it is to acknowledge and recognize suffering, our own suffering and the suffering of others. So, the three realms of cyclic existence have the nature of an ocean of suffering. So, what are the three realms? And what is cyclic existence? What are the three realms of cyclic existence? And I think a lot of us know this, but again, we're reflecting on these things and these words we're saying. The three realms of cyclic existence are what's known as the desire realm, form realm, and formless realm. And so that's another way of framing what the Buddha called samsara, of the 6 realms of samsara, or cyclic existence. So that's the hell realms, the hungry ghost realms, the animal realms, human realms, the asuras, and the gods. So these 6 realms, that's all of samsara, just as real for every being within it. And like the Buddha said, as vast, as far as there's space, there are sentient beings. As much as there are sentient beings, there's suffering, right? Each being has, by its very nature, the Buddha nature, and yet due to this miracle of not knowing, we experience samsara and ever flowing within that. So these 6 realms of samsara are within these 3 realms. Now the desire realm spans all up from all the hell realms, all the hunger ghost realms, all the animal realms, all the human realms, all the asuras, and then the lower realms of the gods is all what's within this desire realm. So then the God realms is the only kind of realm of class of samsara beings that exists in all 3 realms. So above the gods that are in the desire realm are the gods of the formless realm, and then kind of above that are the form gods, form realm. Above that is the formless realm. And again, you can look at more charts and details about what these are like, but that's essentially important. I just thought to say that because I know a few people have asked. So as far as these realms go, vast, infinite, none are free from suffering due to ignorance, attachment, aversion, hope and fear, and the actions kind of based on that, delusion. Then all of samsara comes out. And then there's this word, the cyclic existence, or samsara is a Sanskrit word. And then in Tibetan is korwa. And the word meaning of samsara means something like unceasing flow, or unceasing flowing, unceasing ceaseless wandering, continuous wandering. That's kind of the word meaning of samsara. And then our great teachers with Tibetan is the word korwa, or which implies the circle or circling, which is that idea that from beginningless time, you, me, all of us, all the infinite beings of samsara have been circling in not knowing, and all these very, very real experiences ranging from ultimate torment to great bliss and the great loss of losing it all. And like Buddha said, this word of cyclic, like in some of the Vinaya, there's these quotes, even Khenpo Tsewang Rinpoche gives in these 4 foundational thoughts in our treasury of prayers, these quotes from some of the sutras. But there's the one that's like, driven by ignorance, craving and wishing to exist, all the beings of all the realms are circling, foolishly wishing happiness, but doing all the things that don't get it, So all of the realms were going round and round, like a potter's wheel, just ceaselessly spinning. And then also like the famous quotes of like how all the 3 realms are just ablaze with the sufferings of old age, sickness, death, hope and fear, raging, there's kind of no protection, and beings are just like little bees caught inside a jar, going up and down and all around. Here we are. So, the 3 realms of cyclic existence have the nature of an ocean of suffering. So looking at this suffering truth is really looking at, of course, it's important we think about the causes, but looking at the results. And we're reminded again and again by our teachers, that each one of us, again, from beginningless time, has been wandering in samsara, creating all kinds of doing all kinds of actions, creating all kinds of karma. If we were to, pile up, make little beads of every life we've lived, it wouldn't fill the world or the universe, All even though we may not remember it, all of the experiences we've had as hell beings, as hungry ghosts, as animals, as humans, as asuras, as gods. That's said in the teachings, we've really done it all, again and again and again. We've had countless relations with each other, of enmity, of great love and care, of total betrayal, every imaginable thing, it seems, we've had, and yet we continue circling. So how fortunate it is that we actually have the light of Dharma and the deeper teachings of, again, not only the fruit of suffering, but the deeper truth of the natural nature in which all of this is experienced, our very own mind and that heart, and that path to realize that and bring out our Buddha nature to fruition, again to benefit beings. But looking at these sufferings of samsara is, very good and important. It kind of helps, again, us really soften our heart and wake us up to what's going on. I mean, even if we, as human beings in this world, right? Here in Padma Ling, it's so beautiful, so peaceful. Of course, I've got my own, challenges. I'm sure we all do. There's always things to do, etc., etc. But relatively speaking, even just within this limited knowledge of the world, just think of all these awful wars and atrocities happening this very moment. Our brothers and sisters just going through so much. So looking at all these 6 realms and not just having it be like an intellectual exercise, but really reading about these, like I brought up in Words of My Perfect Teacher, which is such an easy book to have. If anyone doesn't have it, this is a treasure to have, these beautiful teachings from Patrul Rinpoche. And of course, there's so many other Ngondro. These are Ngondro teachings. But in this, Patrul Rinpoche goes through, all these defects of samsara. What are the 6 realms? What do the hell realms contain, right? It goes, much, much further than just being a general place. But, what are the hell realms? What's going on in them? Like we're told, there's these 18 hells. 8 are pervaded by the suffering of heat and pain. 8 by just cold and freezing. Then there's what's known as the neighboring hells, places like ceaseless kind of swamps of putrid corpses, etc. And then kind of, what are they called? The neighboring or, what's the word? Curse? It will come to me. But I thought, there's just not really time here for the amount of time we have. But maybe we can just say their names, the 18 hells. There's 8 hot hells, pervaded by, again, like I said, the torture of heat and pain, again, due to the ripening of all of our negative actions, but in particular, our hostile, angry, hatred actions, So the highest of the hell realms is called the reviving hell, where just everyone's fighting ceaselessly and hacking each other to bits until they're all dead, and then instantly a big voice comes and everyone is resurrected. It's said that, I think, the amount of time there is about 5, let's see, what does it say? 1 human year, 50 human years is 1 day in the lowest of the God realms. The beings in this realm live for about 500 years. And then each realm going down deeper into the hells, it compounds by like factors of 2. The black line hell, where again the main pain is being traced out, black lines, and then cut up along the lines. Rounding up and crushing hell, the howling hell, the great howling hell, the heating hell. You know, there everyone I think is in huge cauldrons of molten metal, and every now and then we bob up and these, agents hook us and hammer our heads until we pass out, and that's happiness in that hell. But then, of course, in all these, we're ceaselessly reviving again and living for hundreds, thousands of years, which are much longer than our sense of years. The intense heating hell, and then the hell of ultimate torment. And then it said around all these hells, there's these neighboring hells of, like, one just full of hot embers, another full of razors, another full of swords, and another full of like these trees which these fierce dogs chase you up, but their thorns are going, coming down, so it's pain in all directions. Anyway, the 8 cold hells, where it's ceaselessly colder. Our bodies are freezing and cracking and blistering, like lotuses. And then these ephemeral hells, that's the word I think I was trying to get to. They're here and there and everywhere, like being born inside a stone, or identifying our bodies as rope, etc. There's lots of details here, and the point is really reading these details. The predas, the hungry ghosts, again, the main suffering here is just never getting what you want. Our bodies are huge, and maybe our mouth the size of a pin, our stomach as huge as the ocean, starving. And then when we finally get what we want, it makes us sick. Or we're just never, always seeing, mirages, chasing after them, never being fulfilled, is the main suffering of the hungry ghosts, or the yidaks. The animal realm, the suffering of the animal realms. There's animals, again, beyond our perception, but ceaselessly just being blown here and there, either being swallowed by others or boring themselves into the bodies of others, Those of more intelligence are always on the lookout, always afraid of being, devoured or being, taken advantage of. The human realms, which we all know, right? There's all these basic sufferings in the human realm. There's birth, the suffering we go through in birth, the kind of old age, sickness, death. There's what's called the suffering of the aggregates or conditioned things. And what does that one mean? It means even like our good vegetarian food, countless beings have died just in the process of planting and harvesting that food. That's an example. that just because of our karma, the habitual pattern, the circumstances of our samsara is such that there's always going to be trouble that's somehow caught up in even our happiness and even in our most pure aspiration, the best we can do, still somebody somewhere is going to suffer. But again, the important thing to remember is this isn't the ultimate truth. This is all within this illusion, this duality display of mind is samsara. So we need to, again, according to that we know with karma, we need to be very timid and careful and mindful. And that's why it's so important to look at all these realms. So the human realm, we've had this suffering of everything composite, which is what I was just going over, which means, again, everything's connected. Somehow somebody's going to get hurt somewhere with anything we do. Just walking on the earth, we're crushing beings, etc., etc. There's the suffering of change. Just we all suffer. Even though we know impermanence, we still suffer when things change. It's uncomfortable. We're losing something. Then there's what's called the suffering upon suffering, where we might have one thing that's challenging happening, and then on top of that, another thing is happening, We get sick, and then also, we have to go, our house burns down, or there's all kinds of permutations of suffering upon suffering. I kind of think it kind of speaks for itself. But it's not just one problem, but one problem on top of another, on top of another, on top of another, are a lot of these, human sufferings. And then there's these four other basic sufferings. And what are they? They're the kind of the challenge and the kind of uncomfortable fear of meeting people who antagonize us. Our enemies are, kind of challenging ones. And the fear of losing those we love and that support us. And then the suffering of encountering things that we just don't want at all, beyond like challenging people, circumstances and things that we just don't want, that suffering. And then not getting what we do want. And another big suffering that Khenpo Rinpoche has always mentioned so much, especially of humans, doubt and hesitation. The asuras, and again, are always just racked with jealousy and quarreling and fighting with the gods. The gods' main suffering, again, now I'm rushing because I think I'm going a little too long, but as we all know, is falling down. They might have beautiful, graceful lives in any one of these realms of, desire, fulfillment of desire, or forms, kind of geometric bliss, or the formless realm of just one-pointed samadhi. But at some point, that karma is exhausted, and then due to the big mind and cognition of the gods, they see they've exhausted, and that's the big suffering of the gods, as we know, is then losing all the merit, exhausting all the positive karma they've collected, and then all the shadows of their previous karma from countless lifetimes kind of bringing them, inevitably blowing towards whatever their next life will be. So then, again, an important thing we're reminded to do as we're looking at suffering is read these books. I'm sorry I don't have the, not sorry I don't have the time, but we're so wonderful that we have all these books, But again, the point is really read, and it's said in the instructions. Don't just think about this abstractly. just like we're reading about, the people in Gaza or Ukraine or in Sudan or wherever, or whatever's happening environmentally to the animals, we might read about that. Put yourself, we need to put ourselves just like we are those people. And what is that like? And then do the same for like each one of these realms. If we ourselves were born, like in like the reviving hell, where it said, like our skin is as sensitive as our eyeballs, and all of these just horrible, terrifying circumstances are happening. And just, immense pain that's just as real as this is real for us. Putting ourselves in that place. And how long are we living through that? Hundreds of what, for our conception, from human conception, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. It might be just one day in one of the hells, for example. So what is the place? What are our bodies like? What are the sufferings we're experiencing? Really imagining, what is that like? For how long? What's the cause of this? And then again, we're kind of getting that real taste of dissatisfaction, seeing, that's why it's called the defects. We've chosen, due to our kind of naivete, we've chosen samsara. And so we're realizing, from beginningless time, we've been wandering through all these experiences. So really connecting with that, just like, dissatisfaction, disillusion with what samsara has to offer. And again, that's not to say, of course, there's good things in samsara, because we all have that beautiful nature of love, compassion, wisdom, freedom. Those qualities, of course, they reflect in samsara. We're very fortunate in that it's more apparent for us. And still this lamp of our empty nature, of wisdom, compassion, love, as we kind of lean into these experiences and let that illuminate with our bodhicitta. And then not only have the disillusion with samsara as an experience that we're going to have unless we really apply these beautiful teachings, but also think of then all these beings. Think of not just yourself as each of these beings in each one of these realms, but think of, like classically, our own mother. We're witnessing these things happening to our own mother. Someone who's given us such immense generosity and kindness, no matter what they're called, going through these. And then, with that sincere bodhicitta, taking that kind of conviction and responsibility to truly be of benefit and free them from suffering. And again, not just the temporary fruit of suffering, but the causes of that suffering. And again, connecting with our four boundless, our precious human birth, knowing impermanence, the inevitability of karma, reflecting on samsara, then naturally our mind is turning towards the Dharma. So with that big bodhicitta and really looking as much as we can to these words from the omniscient Buddha of what beings go through and for how long and where, and that we've experienced all these things, and we can continue to experience these things or not, Refrain from harm, engage in benefit, tame our own mind. So, and then for the benefit of everyone. So I'll just stop here. Maybe we can say more in the future. My apologies if I've forgotten some important big part, but just these are a few morsels we can really, I think, if we really, each one of us, take to heart. And of course, each one of you have your own relation to these teachings and their own beautiful, deep, profound meaning. And that's really the point of reflecting, as a group. I'm sorry it's just one way with our webcast. But again, just trying to do my best to kind of inspire myself and all of us to connect with the teachings and just this beautiful, amazing gift that we have out of our good fortune and our good karma. And so I really pray we all continue to develop that and nurture that and bring that to real direct fruition and benefit everyone. So and we'll just continue with our Ngondro practice, taking all of this to heart.